Tippecanoe County. I started in county government in 1997 working for the commissioners, and then ran for auditor my first time and served from 2007 to 2014. And then I served as treasurer from 2015 to 2023, and for some reason decided to come back to the auditor's office.
I am Jennifer Welsh. A lot of people go by, or I go by Jen. A lot of people call me Jen, sorry. I have been in county government since 2017. I got caucused in as auditor in July of 22.
Okay, and it looks like we have someone else who wanted to come up.
Yeah, my name is Cinda Cataw. I'm the chief deputy at Hendricks County. I've been in county government since, the second time I came back was 97.
Okay.
So a little bit before that. So.
Well, thank you for joining our panel abruptly. I love this. Now I have 3 people. Okay, this is fun. Okay, my first question is, what processes have you completely digitized? Pick one if you could and explain the process from start to finish.
So we have, in most words, have pretty much what everything digital, or at least at some capacity. It is a good 80% digital, I would think. Prior to me taking the auditor role, I was HR payroll for the county, and it was my goal to try to get everything digital. So within that process specifically, I can talk through it very well because I did that for several years. But from the onboarding to our open enrollment benefits, everything we've been able to push out all of our files. We do have paper backups just for in case something would happen, but a lot of stuff is submitted through a processor program or software that is taken through that, and we have everything scanned into our payroll software as well. So, but we have, our commissioners, our council meetings, they're all digital. Our claims processes, we've made all digital. Almost everything's kind of there, so.
And I would say that we are, for the most part, digital, and we did a lot digital through the pandemic, of course. We all had to figure that out. But in some cases, we started back as early as 2006, 2007, going digital with our mapping to GIS. And then in 2014, we moved from paper timesheets to a complete timekeeping, payroll, HR, and onboarding system. And then in 2018, the process that we have the most digital from beginning to end is that we do have credit cards, bad word, I know. But we have completely streamlined that process, and it also involves the treasurer's office. And it is completely electronic as far as how they process their credit card transactions and payments through AP, even though our AP isn't quite fully digital yet.
I'm in the wrong place at the wrong time. I thought I was on a different panel, and it was about the CNAVs. So I thought since it followed the other.
Oh.
So I'm really not prepared to answer any questions.
Okay. No, it's fine. You totally surprised me because I was like, we had someone from the audience come up. Wow. No, let's give her a hand of applause because we love her. It's all good. It's all good. Whew. Good way to end the day. I love it. Okay. The next question is, and please stop me if you guys want to hear more about something that they're talking about, or you need them to expand on it, raise your hand. Ricky will come around because I want it to be a conversation. Question number 2.
Hang on, Angie has a question.
Oh, Angie, question. Ricky, run, Forrest. This is my favorite. She was like, are you going to go up and do the panel? And I was like, of course I will.
Okay, listen, I have 6,391 steps, so let's see what the end of this brings me.
Thank you. We've digitized our claims process entirely, but I would like to get into our onboarding and payroll. Can I ask you each which software company or what vendor you use for your payroll and onboarding?
Within the payroll, we have we have LAO. So LAO also has we've utilized Still Benefits for our benefits side of things. And then the easy onboarding is what they have partnered with. And we are still working through some of those hurdles with them through part of their pilot process. We just switched. We were using more like a form stack type process, but it has now changed to, I think it's easy onboarding. Correct, Alicia? Yes.
And when we started with a company called Timeforce. They integrated with iSolved, which is who had our HR and payroll, but then iSolved purchased Timeforce and tried to integrate that into a more seamless application. We recently have switched from iSolved to Paylocity, and when I say recent, I mean just the last payroll.
Very recent. Okay, next question. What hurdles did you encounter and how did you overcome the hurdles? And again, Jennifer's one of those where, what? She's looking, what are you looking at me for?
We have another question.
Oh, that's fine. Pause that question.
You mentioned the council and commissioner digital. How did you do that and help?
So a few years ago, our previous auditor was trying to streamline some of this and be able to get them information even to them faster. So we talked with them, and we actually started we're working with them with iPads.
Yeah, it's you. It's not me.
So our commissioners and council, they've got iPads. And so within that, in our SharePoint processes, we have hyperlinked all their documents. So before the president at the board meetings, they do have a paper copy of the actual stuff that they have to sign. But we hyperlink that, our agenda's in there for them. They can literally touch the item that's in there. It's gonna open up whatever documents that pertain to those items on their agenda, and they can search those whenever we push out those agendas.
Okay, next question.
Okay, the question is really just what hurdles did you encounter and how did you overcome those? Are there any specific for your processes that really stand out?
As far as timekeeping, 10 years ago, we thought we knew our personnel policies pretty well, but when you implement something like this, all kinds of things jump out, especially in sheriff's departments with all of the different shifts. So from then to most recently, we just documented processes more thoroughly, maybe not so much like here's your personnel policy, it's a paragraph so that the employee knows what it is, but how, we went into more detail of the steps and the processes. What does this mean and how do you actually perform it when you're doing a timesheet?
I think for us, the biggest hurdle is being able to make sure you have enough IT storage space to be able to store a lot of your items. I would definitely be in communication with them, being prepared and be planning toward that, because that is probably our biggest hurdle, is making sure that that stuff's available, whether or not you're on Microsoft 365 and it's the cloud space, and then being able to have that stuff backed up locally. And that is something that they're very adamant, and we've tried to really make sure that we do.
Just to add to that, I think it's one of your later questions, but I would say the same about storage, and that's one thing our IT department is really good about, is we do have a lot of storage and a lot of backups.
Wait, I got two questions. I got one and I got one ahead.
Jen, you said you had LAO. We do too. And on timekeeping, we use AOD. And I think one of our hurdles as we were getting that going was highway surveyor, where they have the different rates for the different jobs that they're doing. Was that something that you experienced as well?
We currently don't have an actual timekeeping system.
Oh, okay.
So when I say digital within the payroll, it's them submitting everything to us digitally. They're keeping all their paper record and that sort of type of thing. But the actual timekeeping system, we don't have.
Then I would say for us, after we got through the hurdles, payroll that used to take us a long time, we can get that in 3 hours. As long as everybody gets to us what they're, the vouchers and everything else is all digital now. So if anybody looks at that and hasn't experienced it, that's one thing you'll want to look at, is the highway, anything that has the different rates. You have to work through that with them. But now that we have that, it's really, really great.
There's a lot of upfront work that I would say goes into it to get those rates, job classifications, everything correct, shifts, what kind of shifts you have, whether you have a lunch in your shift or not, those kind of things. And yes, our payroll clerks do take a lot of time to spend getting the timesheets correct before we even start processing payroll, but then payroll is easier to process.
Going from paper to digital, what areas or what departments gave you the most grief or resistance, and how did you overcome that?
I don't know that we had too many departments. We expected our highways and our judges to kind of give us some pushback, but honestly, when we went digital and started doing the digital claims and where the departments are actually inputting that data and now it's being pushed into us and we're truly just auditing it, there has been a lot of benefits in that. And our judges were actually, specifically one, was right there with me at council whenever we asked for that add-on to start implementing that. They are able to see the benefits. Whenever they're inputting that stuff, they're going to see the negatives. They're not there. Their appropriations are not there for them to utilize. It's going to flag them before it even hits us that they need to do a transfer, an additional, or whatever is happening. So it's and stuff is utilized at their fingertips. I mean, different vendors have different options, but for us, our departments have viewable access. So it's like having an online banking. They get to go on, they get to see their stuff that's there whenever they want to go balance their books, whether it's weekly or daily or however they want to do it. So that's been very beneficial. And we started out just a few departments at a time and just working with those. Obviously, we try to grab some that were more IT savvy and then try to work through, and knowing that there's some that's going to take a little bit more time, but we just try to take the time and really sit with them. Our budgets this year, it's them putting in their budget information and it being pushed into us. We're not going through a lot of those processes and having to manually do it. They're getting to see it, they're trying to work it, they're seeing it for firsthand themselves.
I would say the same departments probably. Again, ours was 10 years ago that we first went from the paper to the timekeeping. And there was a lot of reluctancy from employees across the board. It wasn't just particular departments, but highway, courts, and sheriff, again, I would say were probably the most difficult to come along.
Okay, the next question we have is, how did you transition the full process, including timeline, training staff, things like that?
For the most part, I mean, we always try to make sure we understand the process well enough to train. From there, then we just, again, try to go from department to department and try to sit through them and go through certain processes and not just try to say, okay, tomorrow every department's going to do this. It was a phase because one, it's overwhelming on us and them. And to be able to help them and keep that good line of communication and training going, it's been beneficial that way.
Agreed. We phased in, so we went with departments that we thought would be excited about it to kind of show us some pitfalls and work through those before we set it out to other people. But still did so within a couple of months to get it going. As far as training, a lot of these vendors do a train the trainer. And so like she said, you have to be really comfortable with it yourself if you're going to train. I think that idea might be shifting a little bit with our most recent conversion. They did a lot of videos and whatnot that people could watch on their own time. But we also needed to do some in-person because that really is the best. Well, people learn differently. So you have to have a lot of different options. And I would say that that's one piece of advice, is to offer different types of training for the different ways that people learn.
And I will add that for some of those that are IT savvy, we had other departments make different comments at different times. I want what they have. They're making comments. They can see that. I want to be able to see it. So it kind of became they started coming to us, where am I on the list?
That's interesting. Anyone have any questions before I keep going? No? Oh, you're all enthralled. What benefits have you seen from the digital process?
I definitely think there's a lot of transparency, things being able to be seen right away with these processes. When they come in for audit, things are there at their fingertips. It's a lot faster. You're able just to be able to pull stuff in as long, again, the biggest thing too is to remember is to try to always think through the process when you're saving it, whenever you're trying to digitally imprint that into the software, is how it's going to make the most sense. And it's going to make sense from there forward, because once you start a process, you want to keep that process down, because the consistency is huge in being able to find and access those files.
Right. I think even with paper files, it's like, do you file it here, or do you file it here, or do you file it here because it relates to all these things? Do you file your TIF with your CNAV, or do you file your TIF with all your other TIF stuff? So getting it stored correctly is one big piece of the puzzle. And I'll admit we save things in a lot of different places electronically just because people know to go to a certain place to get it. But other benefits are just, real time. Everybody is so used to getting things at their fingertips. And so you have that ability to see it here and now, as opposed to waiting, asking a supervisor for something, and then having to wait for it. So.
And just something on the cuff, within our Microsoft 365, if I'm out and about and a council member says, hey, is this on the agenda? I literally can pick up my phone. I jump into SharePoint, go to my commissioner or council's agenda. I can see it. I can pull it up, go, yep, here's your document. I can have it at anywhere I have internet service.
This you may have already said this, but I missed it. What vendors do you use for the budget and the claims digitizing?
We are Lao.
Oh, Lao digitizes? Oh my goodness, okay. We have Lao, so I'm gonna have to talk to them.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Okie dokie.
Nope. Got two more.
Just
I'm going to get
kidding.
her first.
Where's the other one?
So when you do accounts payable claims, do you ever get the paper, or is it just the digital copy?
We only have the digital copy. If there's original paperwork that is received, we have the department keep a hold of that till audit. It is over. We've been audited on those years.
So if you're paying Duke Energy, how do you get the stub to put in with the check you mail?
So for like utilities,
Yeah.
we're scanning that in. So we then are putting that in just as we would be creating the voucher before.
So then you print it out to put it with the check to mail it in?
Well, you're going to get it in the mail. So then we mail that back out and everything gets scanned into the system.
To follow up on that, we ACH everything now.
You're talking about the actual payment.
Yeah, we don't ACH.
Oh, we ACH the payment. Yes, I thought you were talking about the actual claims.
Hold on.
I don't want to do this. Okay. We do our claims digital also, and like if EMA sends in their electric bill or whatever, I'll just print that part out, and then when I cut the check, just take that printed part, the printed part of that scan, and put it with the check.
People probably already know this, but I spent 8 years on council, so I know when you want to address something like Lao or Xsoft or anything like that and you don't have it yet, you have to be prepared to sell it to the commissioners and the council. So you want to reach out to, as an auditor, to the ones that you can talk to, so let them talk to the other ones before their presentation is ever made. We did that with timekeeping and stressed how much money it would save because you keep people honest, so to speak. So I wouldn't suggest just going to them and trying to say, hey, we need this. It takes a few months or longer to get something sold, and probably everybody knew that, but I thought I'd throw it out there anyway, since I was on council, so.
Yeah, it does. Because they can find that all that information digitally.
Be careful when you're scratching your head. I might think that you're raising your hand.
So this question's probably for Ricky or Stacy, I guess. I understand the idea of digitizing like scanning those invoices into the system, being able to see them, but I thought the auditor's office was supposed to be the keeper of the original documents. Is that true?
No, you're not wrong, but it depends on what's the original document. And so a scanned version, and this would be really an IARA question about what's original. And so if you're scanning it in and that's what you're calling your original, that's fine too, as long as you have it. But you got to have controls in place for when you're scanning it, because if you scan something in, we come for audit and we pull that claim, but you accidentally scan the back of every invoice, then you didn't maintain the documentation. It's happened.
If it comes digital or starts digital, it stays digital. So, and for deductions, even if someone comes in our office and they're wanting to file their homestead today, we have a little signature pad there. We bring everything up, we fill out the form for them, we have them digitally sign it. Within the PDF Adobe software, our IT has worked with us to actually put our dually stamp and a file stamp that automatically updates your time and your date on it. It's even got the red and black lettering and everything on it. We can digitally stamp it. It's all completely digital from that process, and then we can print it off, give one to the taxpayer, and they can walk away with it, and then it stays within the system.
Okay, I'm going to ask this next question. I'm going to skip the backup question because I think it's time to talk about internal controls. Okay?
Wait. Oh, never mind. Go ahead.
Oh, false alarm, Jackie. Okay, what are some processes and procedures in place to ensure all digital information is captured, stored, and available for audit?
Well, in all cases, we run a lot of reports and we save them as PDF. So again, that goes back to having the proper storage and backups for your network. But even like with the P-card, credit card transactions I mentioned, it's part of our AP process and it's all digital. And we're able to run a PDF report of that batch that was submitted, and you can run it with or without receipts. So we encourage running it with the receipts and then saving that PDF. Again, we have the treasurer processes that for us, and then the auditor's office AP clerk reviews all of those transactions. So they're actually being reviewed twice. So that's another double check that we have in place there. That's all I can think of for those. Payroll and HR, we definitely run a lot of reports and save.
So like with all of our dockets, whenever claims are being done or payroll dockets or anything's being done, again, we turn a report into a PDF. We have what we have, a shared file in the office. It's a pending docket file. Whoever it pertains to that's checking those dockets goes into it. They digitally stamp it that they approved it, and then it's digitally stamped in date and time. So then we have that for our backup that it's been double checked.
Questions? No? Okay. Do you have any processes that are still paper? Do you have any plans to become fully digital? This is more for Tippecanoe. What is stopping you from digitizing the process?
So even within payroll, we still have a payroll change form. So anytime a funding source changes, a transfer between departments, something like that happens, a classification or a longevity, we still have a paper process in place for that. And we're looking to, with this new software, move away from it and have it more electronic with a workflow that gives approvals and an audit trail. So that's one piece. I would love to have our council and commissioner meetings, the documents that they sign to be more electronic. We currently prepare a council packet, and that's all electronic, but all of our council members prefer to have the paper in front of them when they're in the meeting. So we haven't quite gotten to the iPads yet. Commissioners, sort of the same thing. They just have a lot more contracts that they sign, and I would love to get those digitally signed somehow. So I'm looking for help on all of that.
Okay, I'm going to go back to the backup so we can talk about this a little bit more. How did you go about backing up the digital information so that if information is stored and accessible in case of a disaster?
So Thank goodness we've never been in a situation to have to test it. But based off of IT, they've always, his rule is at least 7 times. He's backed 7 times in different locations or ways. But there was a time that not too terribly long ago, there was a question that got brought up, and it was actually further than that he has on backup. So our IT, I leave that up to him, but he is very adamant that he's got it.
As far as our records and reports, again, those are on the network. The systems that we use are actually web-based, and I'm sure there are legalities and controls in place for that. But we have backups in other counties as well as our own. So we have some redundancy there.
Okay. The last question I have is there anything you would change if you could do it all over again? If so, explain.
In regards to our commissioners and council, a few of them that are IT savvy, currently, like I said, we are using iPads, but as they're working with IT, there are some limitations with using an iPad. So whenever we do transition into our next device, it will be a laptop due to those restraints.
I can't really think of anything. I would love to do more electronically. So maybe just training and approach and how you bring people along with you. But overall, I'm pretty happy with how we did perform through the pandemic, and that we've continued to keep the things that we had electronic and grow a little bit more each year with what we add to the list.
Okay, those were all the questions I had for you guys. Anyone have any last minute questions for them? Oh,
I'm coming. Got about 700 since the start.
Yeah, I was just wondering if either of you had any kind of numbers as far as the savings of the amount that's spent with paper, so versus the expenses of all these systems, if there was any information about how much you could possibly save.
I'm not 100% sure, like an actual number, but just for going ACH, I mean, you're going to save it on your checks, you're going to save it on postage, you're going to save it on toner, you're going to save it in your envelopes, and they're timely. Unfortunately, with some of the issues that are going on with the USPS right now, there are issues there. So, but I mean, beyond that, I mean, your commissioner and council packets, sometimes they're very hefty packets. If you're mailing them or you're requiring them to come in and pick them up, I mean, there's time saved there for them.
I can't think of anything to add. I agree with all of those savings, and we probably haven't quantified it in our county. But I will say that I also feel like in the digital age, we might use more paper because more people have access to print, and if they printed it once and threw it away, but they need it again, they'll just print it again. So I tend to see it from that side.
Anybody else with questions? Deb might have had one, but it floated away. So if it comes back, I'll come back to her. I know Janie has an answer to a question from the question box, but I don't want to go to her if you guys have more questions. Nothing?
Did you find it helpful to kind of talk about your processes with everything kind of changing to a digital
Stop
world?
talking.
Oh, Deb remembered. Everybody shh.
Okay, I am so sorry. So one of the things that I'm interested in is the retrieval of all of the digitized documents. I mean, do you just have it in like shared files on your computer, or how are you able to quickly find all of the information that you have digitized?
Is there one specific that you're looking for?
Well, it would be, because I know how many records and documents that we keep. So, I mean, are you digitizing all the minutes? Are you the contracts? I mean, everything, anything. How are you sure that you're going to be able to go back into your software and find those documents?
So resolutions, ordinances, anything like that. So we have a spreadsheet, and we literally have the names, the resolution or ordinance number that's listed in a column, and then we hyperlink the document to the file where it's saved. And then within that document, then it's saved. We've got from every ordinance and resolution that's ever been created in our county is in this spreadsheet. And you can just click on that resolution and ordinance and go there. Doing that. So, I mean, from that aspect, that's where it's at. And it's in our Microsoft 365. So just as you would be saving anything on your computer in a folder, it's 365 is just the cloud version of that.
So we're a little bit different, and we just have folders on our network drive for our department, and they might be called commissioners or council or ordinances, resolutions, whatever it may be. But as I mentioned, we file them in multiple places sometimes, but by saving them, and if you save them consistently, like contracts, we might save as the vendor name and the department that the contract is for. Then you can just use the search bar to find where it might be, so it's easily retrievable.
And to add to that, so with contracts, if they're over the $50,000 mark, they have to be on Gateway. We have another column in there that says that was this uploaded to Gateway and with our date, so that we have a cross-reference so that we know that we got it in there. And it's also, if somebody's filling in with somebody, it's another trigger for them to know that that box needed to be taken care of. So we have little implementations within our processes that try to trigger those things.
Okay. Any more questions for these two? Let's give them a big round of applause and thank them.
We even matched today.
Oh, they do match. Look at that. Both Jennifers, both matching.
They coordinated.
Yes. So next conference, whenever I pick people, if you don't have matching outfits, I'm not allowing you on stage. I'm just kidding. Okay, Janie has something, and after Janie answers the question...
You can come up here if you want, and so you can get on.
I have an
screen.
announcement.
Okay, let's see if I can hold it. And this is not technology, so I can do this. Question in the box was, what should the cutoff date be for the auditor and treasurer with regards to excise tax? The treasurer's easy. For the treasurer, it's the day that they certify collections. For the auditor, I can't tell you when you should cut off. A lot of counties, like I said, some counties cut off the end of September for December settlement. Some people cut off in October. But to help answer that question, how many counties cut off their excise tax at the end of September? Just raise your hand. Okay. Does anybody want to comment on why they chose that date? I was just thinking that might help somebody understand the benefit or not benefit of that.
We cut off at September for a 6 months period. That way we know the funds are in there and we're good, and it's a good cutoff time.
Yeah. And it really, either date is good in that you can have it ready before you finish your process of settlement. So that to me is a benefit. And I think we've got another one.
Hold on.
Okay.
Paula wants to say something.
I just had two reasons. The first one's funny.
Okay.
Because I thought you told us to. And the second one is a great example of we cut off September 30th and we're out of balance. There was a deposit that was completely missed on the treasurer's side. So now we have more time to juggle the correction or document whatever happens.
Right.
If they find it.
Hey, Tanya.
Hold on.
I'm kind of in the same boat as the last person. It's because I was always told that those are the timelines per se, like April, May, June, July, August, September.
Okay. There is nothing statutory.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I guess it's what I was trained.
Right. And some of those, it's carried forward from time after time after time.
Okay.
The thing I would recommend is that you always be consistent.
I guess what I do is I go by.
Yeah, those were recommended, maybe not, and maybe somebody heard recommended and thought they meant, that's when you have to do it.
I do go by the date that it's for, not necessarily the date received.
And I'll be honest with you, when I was at the county, I never did excise, so I'm learning along with everyone else on some of that, and I think that's a good point. What cutoff date? Is it the date you receive the money? Is it the date of the report?
Yeah, we go by what it's for.
Okay.
We get together with the treasurer.
Awesome.
And like make sure that we have the same, we keep a chart.
Yeah.
We have a chart as we
Yeah,
go along so
that's
that when
great.
it comes time for settlement, we're not like wondering why it's out of balance.
Right. Well, once again, if you do this, well, I should have said in the presentation, it's a good idea to reconcile monthly if you can, so that when settlement comes, there are no surprises.
Yeah.
So how many counties do the end of October?
Oh, so sorry.
Ooh, not many. Okay. Makes a lot of sense. So, since we're done, I have a joke.
Okay, you go, and then I have an
I
announcement.
will. I promise I won't. Okay. So I don't know. I have a rental property. I'm just fortunate in that. And I hired this handyman, and I gave him a list of things I wanted him to do. So he comes to me, says he's finished. I looked at the list, and I said, well, you only did numbers 1, 3, and 5. What's up with that? He goes, well, I just do odd jobs.
Thank you, Janie.